Ohio State and Michigan walk into Ann Arbor carrying more than records. They carry memory, momentum, and the kind of pressure that makes even the strongest teams feel the edges of their own certainty. The Buckeyes arrive undefeated, flawless on paper. The Wolverines arrive unbroken in this rivalry, 4 straight years of bending the story their way. And today, the question is simple. Does the math finally win, or does the moment bend it again? Start with the quarterbacks. Julian Sayin is precision carved into a jersey, nearly 80% completions, perfect rhythm, and a calm that turns every short throw into a heartbeat the defense can't interrupt. When he's upright, Ohio State becomes inevitable. Across from him stands Bryce Underwood, Michigan's young signal caller, built for the long game. He doesn't need to dominate. He just needs to survive the best defense in the country, extend plays with his legs, and hand the ball to a rushing attack built to pull time off the clock grain by grain. And when you study the trenches, when you feel the pace these teams force on each other, when you remember what the last 4 meetings have looked like, you see the shape of this one. Low possessions, heavy legs, a rivalry that refuses to stretch too far in either direction. And today's AI pick is Michigan plus 10.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to game 2.
Oregon comes to Seattle with everything to lose and just enough confidence to make it dangerous. Washington waits with nothing to protect, nothing to defend, and every reason to drag the Ducks into a 4-quarter fistfight. The numbers favor Oregon. The playoff committee favors Oregon. But pressure doesn't care who the metrics bless. It cares who breaks first. Start with the quarterbacks. Dante Moore is efficient, polished, and engineered for control. But control fades when your receivers are limping, your center is questionable, and the stadium around you is shaking. Moore can guide a clean game. Seattle doesn't offer him one. Demond Williams Jr. won't outshine the stat sheet. He doesn't need to. He plays quick, decisive, and fearless. Perfect for a game where tempo matters more than fireworks. Against Oregon's top-tier defense, survival becomes a weapon. Long drives become pressure. Pressure becomes cracks. And when you study the pattern, you see the fracture. Oregon's red zone regression on the road. The weather tightening the script. Dan Lanning's history of shrinking in this rivalry. And Washington's ability to make every possession feel like the last one you deserved. Oregon can win this game, but the number is built on a fantasy of perfection the Ducks haven't earned on the road. And today's AI pick is Washington plus 6.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to game 3.
Oklahoma and LSU meet in Norman with 2 very different paths in front of them. Oklahoma plays for the college football playoff. LSU plays for pride, stability, and something to carry into an uncertain offseason. And when the stakes pull in opposite directions, the game often reveals its shape before a single snap. Let's begin at quarterback. For LSU, Michael Van Buren steps into the noise behind an offensive line that has been reshuffled too many times. Missing their starting center and facing one of the most punishing defensive fronts in the SEC, Van Buren will have to improvise more than he executes. Against a defense that thrives on pressure, that is a difficult task to survive. For Oklahoma, John Mateer is expected to start. He's fought through the thumb injury that disrupted the early part of his season, and while the Sooners have simplified the offense around him, he remains the steady anchor this team trusts. Oklahoma won't ask him to do too much. They'll ask him to manage the moment, protect the football, and let the defense dictate the rhythm. And when you look at the numbers and the injuries, the imbalance is clear. LSU's offense simply isn't built to endure 4 quarters against this defense. Oklahoma won't need fireworks, just control, just discipline, just enough. And today's AI pick is Oklahoma minus 11.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to game 4.
The Iron Bowl doesn't just arrive, it erupts. Tonight, under the lights at Jordan-Hare Stadium, Alabama walks in carrying top 10 expectations, and Auburn walks in carrying a memory. 3 straight home Iron Bowls decided by 6 points or fewer. When this rivalry hits the plains, the game shrinks, the noise grows, and the favorite always feels smaller than the line suggests. Let's start with Alabama's quarterback, Ty Simpson. On paper, he's the centerpiece of a polished passing attack, but this month has been rough. 7 straight games with turnovers, 2 straight games with multiple giveaways, and tonight he steps into the loudest environment he'll face all season. With key offensive injuries, tight end Josh Cuevas out, running back Kevin Riley out, and the receiving room banged up, Simpson's margin for error is razor thin. Auburn answers with a defense that's been reborn under interim coach D.J. Durkin. Since he took over, they've pressured quarterbacks, stuffed the run, and kept opponents uncomfortable. They'll make Simpson earn every yard. And with Auburn needing this win for bowl eligibility, the emotional surge is real. This game will be tight, volatile, and decided late. And in tight, volatile, decided late games at Jordan-Hare, history has one rule. And today's AI pick is Auburn plus 5.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to Game 5.
Ho, ho, ho! Settle in, kids. Santa's got one more game to wrap before we slide into the recap. Tonight, the Legends Trophy meets the glow of the Christmas lights as Notre Dame heads to Stanford Stadium for a late-night showdown. The Irish come in ranked number 9, sitting at 9-2, already polishing their playoff resume. Stanford, well, they're 4-7, running on pride, home field comfort, and the last spark of rivalry magic the farm still has left. But make no mistake, this matchup is all about Notre Dame proving they belong in the postseason conversation. Let's break it down. Notre Dame's offense has been rolling like Santa's sleigh at full speed, 452 yards per game, a punishing 204 rushing yards, and over 41 points a night. They lean on balance, physicality, and depth, everything Stanford struggles to slow down. The Cardinal give up nearly 400 yards per game, including 268 through the air, and they crumble against top-tier talent. Their offense hasn't broken 20 points most Saturdays, and against the top 15, Notre Dame defense giving up just 17.4 points per game. That sled isn't going far. The numbers say blowout, but the spread says massive. 32.5 points, and Santa's been around long enough to know when the number gets that big, even the elves get nervous. And today's AI pick is Stanford plus 32.5. Will we cash or will we burn? On to the recap.
The night is closing in, and our 5 judgments stand. Let's carve them into the ledger. Game 1, Ohio State versus Michigan. The rivalry that bends decades. The number was too heavy. The pick, Michigan plus 10.5. Game 2, Oregon versus Washington. Power collides with pressure, and the margin shrinks under the weight of chaos. The pick, Washington plus 6.5. Game 3, LSU versus Oklahoma. Strength meets instability, and Oklahoma's defense writes the ending. The pick, Oklahoma minus 11.5. Game 4, Alabama versus Auburn. Jordan-Hare under the lights never lies. The pick, Auburn plus 5.5. Game 5, Notre Dame versus Stanford. The Irish win, but the number was far too bloated. The pick, Stanford plus 32.5. Now in Spanish. Juego uno, Michigan plus 10.5. Juego dos, Washington plus 6.5. Juego tres, Oklahoma minus 11.5. Juego cuatro, Auburn plus 5.5. Juego 5, Stanford más 32.5. Todos los veredictos están sellados. Back to English. Like and subscribe. Will we cash or will we burn? And tonight's old German saying, Gegen den Wind wachsen die stärksten Bäume. Against the wind, the strongest trees grow.